morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Police Commissioner, welcome to One Police Plaza for the 249th United States Marine Corps birthday. Please remain standing for the singing of the national anthem by Police Officer Heather Austin.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Officer Austin. Please remain standing for the invocation by Police Department Chief Chaplain, Rabbi Dr. Alvin Cass.
I feel honored and privileged to join with all of you in asking God to accept our humble gratitude for the boundless blessings expressed in the United States Marines who serve this nation with love and devotion, that the freedoms we cherish might be preserved unto us. On this very special occasion, celebrating the 249th birthday of the Corps, the 31st birthday of the NYPD Marine Corps Association, and the presence in our midst today of the very distinguished General Jim Mattis. There has always been an esprit de corps between this department and the Marines. So many of our officers are Marines or former Marines. And just as the Marines are America's finest, so our cops are New York's finest. And what is said of the Marines should be said of our officers as well. The NYPD has landed. The situation is well in hand. Dear God, we beseech Thee to walk beside our Marines and police officers and protect them in the performance of their perilous duties. Be Thou a shield about them as they wrestle with the forces of darkness both at home and abroad. And may Your countenance shine always upon the United States of America, the greatest country on the face of the earth, and crown our brotherhood and our sisterhood from sea to shining sea. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Cass. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. I'd like to thank the police band for the musical performance. Great job, guys. It's now my pleasure to introduce the members seated on the dais. Please hold your applause until all have been introduced. Starting from my right, Chief of Housing, Martine Matarasso. Chief of Detectives, Joseph Kenny. Chief of Department, Jeffrey Madry. Former Secretary of Defense, the Honorable James Mattis. The police... The Police Commissioner of the City of New York, the Honorable Thomas G. Donlin. Deputy Commissioner, Intelligence and Counterterrorism, Rebecca Weiner. Deputy Commissioner, Department Advocate, Paul Gamble. Chief of Transportation, Philip Rivera. Commissioner of New York City Emergency Management, the Honorable Zachary Iscol. The President of the NYPD Marine Corps Association, Police Officer Gerardo Caballero. Seated in row 2, Office of Interagency Operations, Captain Michael Butler. Executive Officer, Internal Affairs Bureau, Deputy Chief Chris Morello. Good morning. Chief of Transit, Joseph Galata. Good morning. Police Department Chief Chaplain, Rabbi Dr. Alvin Cass. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our dais, and we thank them for being here.
From building 1 Echo, move 10 meters to the northeast. Call contact on 3. Looks like vehicles.
We will cut our enemies down in droves. Our fires will be the substance of their nightmares. We will protect our brothers and sisters. The fields of the dead will serve as evidence of our passing.
Engagement complete. 3 killed.
I like Marine infantry, and I like the way they fought. They had shoes that none of you had. They didn't have proper shoes on and didn't have any shirts or anything. What do you expect troops are going to do at 30 below zero? Now, I was used to it, but you had kids in there that couldn't.
The Marine Corps is a force like no other. We have no peer. Our resilience is as unbreakable as our spirit. Because of this, we can endure any adversity. When faced with impossible challenges, we overcome and destroy any enemy in our path.
Our success in Fallujah was the individual Marine behind his personal weapon, but it was the Marine Rifle Squad and all the components of support that backed that squad leader and his squad. That was the secret weapon. You know, we talk about superpower weapons, all the capabilities of the nation. A rifle squad of Marine is the most fearsome weapon on the planet Earth.
We're the only organization that, at the core, we ensure that first and foremost, our Marines are trained to be warfighters. We provide those Marines the fundamentals needed to be adaptable. And if they're adaptable, they're resilient. If they're resilient, they can problem solve. And they can problem solve, they're going to be able to make the mission.
From the challenges of boot camp to battlefields anywhere in the world, our Marines persevere and win because no matter where they're from, they possess the courage and determination to overcome any obstacle. Our non-commissioned officers, the backbone of our Corps, make decisions and lead from the front with ruthless efficiency.
The squad leader that I had across the 3 squads in Afghanistan were brilliant, just very different people. But when it came to understanding the environment, understanding our equipment, and understanding the enemy, being able to adapt requires awareness.
In every battle we fought, the key has been decisive leadership carried out by our junior Marines. They are the difference makers, willing to walk point, be first through the door, and if necessary, make the ultimate sacrifice for their brothers and sisters.
When you're in a bad situation, the only thing you are allowed or permitted to do is to determine how you're going to fight your way out of that situation or scenario. And you have mentally prepared yourself for these things, and then they happen. And then they're difficult, but you're able to navigate through them because you are a trained professional warfighter.
As the world changes, we are changing with it. We are equipping our forces with cutting-edge technology, while also embracing our heritage, which shows us war will never change. America will always need Marines willing to fix bayonets and charge the enemy.
We're identifying what's, what we think the next fight is going to look like. That's, force design and where we're moving. And it is very distributed in nature, to say the least. And at the entry level, teaching to think at a different level and to receive inputs and to process different types of technology only supports what they're going to do in 2-3 years when they are that corporal.
The Marine Air Ground Task Force is the tip of America's spear. Adaptable to any situation, the MAGTF is ready to support our allies and destroy our enemies anywhere in the world. Our Marine Expeditionary Units stand forward deployed as a naval response force. Always on call, in war and in peace.
These were special people. They were incredible people. I'm just thankful that for a moment I got to know so many incredible heroes.
You always want another second, another minute, another hug. But, when the time comes and they're gone, that's it. So what you've said, what you've done, who you were, that's what they're going to remember.
The fallen didn't make that sacrifice for us to sit around and be sad all day. They made that sacrifice with the expectation that we would live in the fullest manner possible.
Do what you need to do to get back into the fight and know that the community is there, the brothers are there, the sisters are there, like everybody is there to, to keep the fight going, to keep pushing the fight, because inevitably, we need everybody to be operational. We need, that team to come back together and continue the mission, because you lose a teammate and you still have to keep fighting.
The enemies of the nation. We're the finest fighting force in the face of the earth. We've proven it. Coming up on 2.5 centuries.
Because you cannot beat that which will not stop.
I have 35 of the most savage human beings on earth. We are a bunch of rabid dogs.
We will continue to be the most elite ground fighting force that there is. And I think that we continue this extreme sense for violence of action. These Marines are going to continue to pave the way for our military.
Be ready, because if you're not ready, the Marine Corps is just going to do what they do best, win our nation's battles.
For 249 years, Marines have distinguished themselves not just by their valor, but by their readiness to confront the challenges that lie ahead, no matter how daunting those challenges might be.
The next fight is on the horizon, and it will demand everything we have. Our reputation as warriors is not just a relic of our past, but a living testament to our nature. Our spirit is one of relentless pursuit, unmatched violence, and a steadfast will to win.
Marines, our heritage is one of victory through superior might and unyielding perseverance. As we honor that heritage and our rich legacy today,
we must also reaffirm our commitment to our nation, our families, and the Marines to our left and right. We will remain vigilant, and every Marine will be prepared to fight and win, no matter the cost.
Happy birthday, Marines, and Semper Fidelis.
It is now my pleasure to introduce the Police Commissioner of the City of New York, the Honorable Thomas G. Donlin.
Okay, thank you, Lieutenant, and good morning to all of you. It's an honor to be here with you as we celebrate the 249th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. I want to first thank the NYPD Marine Corps Association for organizing this event and their kind invitation to me, and always for advocating for the heroic work U.S. Marines do every day who are members of the NYPD. Many of them are here today being recognized for acts of bravery and valor. I want to congratulate each of them because through the vital work, you reflect the highest standards of Marine service. Among the awardees is a friend and co-worker of mine, Zach Iskol, Commissioner of the Office of Emergency Management. He brings the grit and discipline he forged as a captain in the U.S. Marines to his leadership at OEM, facing every crisis head-on and adapting to evolving challenges. His work strength, our city's preparedness, and emergency response every day. So thank you to Zach. As police officers, we find common ground with our Marine brothers and sisters. Like you, we're dedicated to our duty, to traditions that strengthen us, and to the communities we serve. Courage, honor, and commitment. These are the values that shape every Marine, and perhaps no one embodies these principles more than General James Mattis. General, your leadership and devotion to these ideals sets a powerful example to all of us, not only for the Marines, but for every American who values service and integrity. Thank you for being here today. It means so much to the members of the NYPD who have served and continue to serve our great city. As we mark the 249th anniversary of the Marines on Sunday, we're reminded of their proud history and the lasting impact each Marine has made in defense of our nation. And then on Veterans Day, we honor the remarkable dedication of Americans' military members throughout the centuries and offer them our much deserved gratitude and respect. You represent the best of us, so thank you for your service. Happy birthday to the United States Marine Corps, and happy Veterans Day to all of you. Stay safe, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Donlin. It is now my privilege to introduce the former Secretary of Defense, the Honorable James Mattis.
Thank you. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, and thank you, Lieutenant Fung. What a great day to be in this vibrant, all-American city. It's in the week when we honor all the veterans, as the Commissioner just said, the weekend when we're going to honor the Marine Corps' birthday. 249 years of tradition, unhampered by progress. I would just tell you that also the 20th anniversary of the Battle of Fallujah, when a number of you were in that battle, including Commissioner Iskol. But standing here before a group of Marines, Commissioner, who are also part of the most impressive police force in the world, in the greatest city in the world, in the greatest country in the world, I can't help but think that being here with you today is truly an honor. I will remember it forever. If I had to put it in one word, it would be humbled. If I had to put it in two words, humbled and happy. It's pretty tall cotton for a guy who thought he was going to end up pumping gas in Pasco, Washington, to be in New York City and with all of you. Whenever I'm with a group of Marines, I know I'm in the presence of warriors of courage and character, no matter what they might be doing in their civilian lives. But to be with Marines who chose for their next calm and comfortable chapter in life to join the New York Police Department, well, that's to be in the presence of a special type of elite varsity greatness. Among those with an irrepressible spirit of service for whom challenge is just another word that brings a smile of confidence to their faces. And nothing can intimidate such characters as I see today. And you look good, Marines. You ought to be in the movies. I'll tell you that, every one of you guys. Thanks to Gerardo, I've had a chance to learn more about the history of your association and you Marines who subsequently joined the NYPD. Your members have served in every conflict from Korea to Vietnam, the Cold War, Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan, and various other locales. And I know that some of you crossed that line of departure into Fallujah 20 years ago today in a bloody chapter of our history. As Marines, as NYPD officers, you are like the legionnaires standing firm at the gates of Rome and defending the Republic. Or you're the 300 Spartans at the gates of fire at Thermopylae. Many of you were young Marines, too young perhaps to buy a beer, but still as lads coming of age, taking on awesome responsibility of defending our freedom. And as officers of the NYPD, you bring that same spirit and courage to this magnificent city. When you patrol the streets of New York, you see it all. 6-story walk-ups, huge apartment towers, aromas from a million kitchens, streets bursting with dozens of languages. And to some, I will tell you as a country boy, this can be an intimidating city, a city constantly grappling with issues as old as our nation and as new as the morning headlines. Yet in every neighborhood in this great city, this most alive of all cities, this chaotic miracle stands as a beacon to the world in no small part because of the sacrifices that you and your fellow officers of the NYPD make every single day, keeping this muscular city on a positive track. Because this is a city of courage and character too, which has faced and overcome the toughest challenges, a confidence-building reminder of our country at a time when such a reminder is needed to reassure our fellow citizens. And as our whole country learned after 9/11, and no one showed this more than New Yorkers, we Americans don't scare. We are not made of cotton candy. We do not lose our nerve. On that day, one of the worst days of our country that we've ever witnessed, we saw the courage of some of the finest people in our country that it's ever produced. We saw them run toward danger, and their sacrifice will always be remembered, and we will forever revere them and the families of your fallen. Marines don't sugarcoat danger. We recognize it and face it head on. And all of you know a very important fact that you first learned as Marines, that our country and this great city, they don't have to be perfect to be worth fighting for. Our enemies might think that democracies are weak because we have robust discussions and argue openly. But if any enemy makes the foolish decision to challenge us, they will find that our raucous democracy is as much a reality of our strength as our military power. And you, your department, you're a confidence-building reminder of our strength. I believe that this great police force in this incredibly diverse city can and will show our nation how to bridge any divide and come together. You've done it before, and your city will do it again as you protect it. It's probably never been harder to be a police officer, but it's never been more important either. And for those of you committed to protecting your fellow citizens, we owe you our deepest thanks and our support. For you are our thin blue line, your force being first among equals and the admired model across all our police forces in America. And as a Marine, I'm proud to see Marines bringing their strength to the NYPD's ranks. You are quite simply the standard bearer, And the history of the Marines and of the New York Police Department is told in the valor of those who serve both in your department and in the Marines. As we gather today in celebration of the birthday of our Corps of Warriors, let's also have a moment of remembrance for the Marines and the NYPD who gave their lives for this city, a memory that unifies and touches the hearts of all right-thinking people. I've been reading and learning about these men. Hearing their names again today and remembering their stories is how we ensure that their valor is never lost to the dustbin of history, that their family sacrifices are known and respected and never forgotten. And why? It's because great men, great women, and these are great men that we will talk about today, they have never been boasters or buffoons. Rather, they are men who recognize the terrors of life and man themselves to face it. And on our birthday, we recall great lives. Patrolman Rocco Laurie and Greg Foster, two Marines who fought in Vietnam before joining the New York Police Department. They were ambushed and murdered in the 9th Precinct outside a diner in the East Village on January 27, 1972. Targeted because they were police officers. Greg was from the Bronx and was just 22 when he was killed. And Rocco was from Staten Island and he was 23. This despicable act 52 years ago reverberated throughout the city and is remembered to this day. When Rocco and Greg joined the NYPD and found they had both been Marines in Vietnam, they asked to be partners. Both were married, and Patrolman Foster left behind two very young children. Greg was with Golf Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines. He earned the Bronze Star in Vietnam in combat trying to save a wounded buddy, and the Silver Star for his actions in another battle just 5 days later. This time his platoon was ambushed, wounding most of the men and pinning the rest down. On his own initiative, Greg charged the enemy, firing so many rounds that his M16 malfunctioned. He grabbed another rifle to cover the medevac of wounded men until help could arrive. He accrued 3 Purple Hearts by the time he went home from Vietnam. Rocco was with Echo Company, 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines in Vietnam, stationed near the DMZ in the spring of 1969, where his company patrolled the rugged border between North and South Vietnam. Nominated for the Bronze Star after one battle when 90 Marines fought off 500 North Vietnamese soldiers who had them surrounded, like Greg, Rocco proved a man who would stand and fight when the chips were down. When Rocco ran out of ammunition in his foxhole, he ran through enemy fire to get a much-needed grenade launcher and continue the fight, turning the tide of battle until reinforcements could arrive. These two heroes who survived Vietnam, only to be killed on the streets of New York, will remain forever in our memory. They were young men who never had a chance to fully enjoy their youth or to grow old. Today, they would be 74 and 75 years old, and their families need to know that we hold them in our hearts. Sergeant Michael Curtin was a career Marine, retiring as a Marine Sergeant Major and having served in Operation Desert Storm. On September 11th, as an NYPD emergency services officer, he was ordered to evacuate the North Tower, but instead stayed on to conduct life-saving operations and died when the towers collapsed. One of 71 law enforcement officers killed that day. He left behind 3 daughters. Sergeant Curtin was not only one of the first responders after September 11th, he was also one of the first to respond to the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, and he was deployed in 1995 to the site of the Oklahoma City bombing. During the rescue and recovery efforts in Oklahoma City, Sergeant Curtin was walking past an area that had been checked previously for casualties. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of some blue material with a red stripe on it. He knew immediately what it was, the dress blue trouser leg of a Marine. He had discovered the remains of the officer in charge of the Marine recruiting in Oklahoma. Because of the dangerous location, Sergeant Curtin and a few others had to request special permission to put themselves in harm's way to recover the remains of that fallen Marine. They were able to recover the body, and that evening the nation saw the footage of the fallen officer carried out with a U.S. flag draped over his body and being saluted as he was removed. Sergeant Curtin knew Marines don't leave their own behind. Detective Luis Alvarez was another Marine Corps veteran. Detective Alvarez died in 2019 at the age of 53 as the result of cancer, which was linked to the 3 months he had spent at Ground Zero, searching for survivors and for remains of his fellow officers on nearby rooftops and in the toxic rubble, which included mercury, jet fuel, and more than 400 tons of asbestos. Detective Alvarez was born in Cuba and moved to Queens and served in the Marines before becoming a bomb squad detective in the NYPD. In 2016, he got ill from his exposure at Ground Zero, became a passionate advocate for thousands of other first responders coping with illnesses related to the attacks. And just 18 days before he died in 2019, Lou and John Stewart testified before Congress to replenish the 9/11 Victims' Compensation Fund, which was running out of money. His appearance before Congress was raw. It was hard to watch. He was clearly near death, but he was a fighter and a leader to the very end. He made a huge impact on the Congressional Committee, and the legislation was approved. He left behind 3 sons. As we salute our Marine Corps birthday, as we remember and celebrate the lives of these heroes, let's take a quiet moment today to reflect and be grateful for our Marine legacy, forged in blood on battlefield 1775, as well as in service of New York's finest, as we rededicate ourselves to carrying that legacy untarnished into the future as you serve this great city. For the shared legacy of the Marine Corps and the New York PD is captured by the raw performance of duty of these valiant representatives of both the Corps, whose birthday we celebrate, and of the NYPD. 2 elite organizations that share the same values and are manned by extraordinary, selfless Americans. Honor, courage, and commitment, as Commissioner Donnellan said, these are the shared hallmarks of the strong esprit de corps of the New York City Police Department and the U.S. Marines. With you, I'm confident that these values are in very good hands, strong hands, and you will turn them over to your successors as strong or stronger as when you inherited them. Again, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to be with you to celebrate the Marine Corps birthday. Thank you for inviting me. You stay alert out there, and God bless America. Semper Fi.
Introduce the president of the NYPD Marine Corps Association, Police Officer Gerardo Caballero.
Good morning, everybody. Happy birthday, Marines, and welcome to One Police Plaza. Thank you all for joining us today to celebrate our 249th birthday. We're honored to have with us today U.S. Marine Corps General Mattis. Thank you, sir, for being here with us. Much appreciated. I know you were really busy, and you took the time to be here with us. Senior members of the NYPD and our honorees, their families, and all of you here, uniform and civilian members. On November 10th, 1775, the Continental Congress saw it necessary to establish 2 battalions of Marines. Accordingly, for 249 years since, the United States Marine Corps have fought in every conflict and won every battle. However, the next most important success of our Corps has been providing the New York City Police Department with Marines. U.S. Marines, long after they have been discharged, have continued their service on foot posts, sector guards, and in our detective squads. Names like Gregory Foster and Rocco Laurie have returned from service in the Republic of Vietnam to make the ultimate sacrifice here in the streets of New York City. Heroes like Marine Sergeant Major Michael Curtin who after serving 20 years in the Marine Corps, made the ultimate sacrifice at the World Trade Center. This is our legacy. This is a legacy of the United States Marines here in the NYPD. Today, our legacy is carried by current members of the service who fought house to house in Fallujah and repelled the enemy assault in the river valleys of Sengin. Since then, they have returned to our city and continue to carry on our legacy every day. Since 1993, the NYPD Marine Corps Association has strived to preserve this legacy by building bonds amongst current and retired Marine veterans, supporting each other's careers, and recognizing each other's accomplishments. Most importantly, the association imparts upon the department the knowledge and ethics we all learned and were embedded in us at Paris Island, San Diego, and Quantico. Honor, courage, and commitment. For those who are not familiar with our Corps, our culture, please enjoy our annual traditional birthday ceremony. Marines, new, current, and old, deployed, celebrate our birthday wherever they are. From sharing a beer at the old VFW post to cutting a stale pound cake while forward deployed, we celebrate our birth. Again, happy birthday, Marines. Happy 249th birthday. Thank you for coming. Semper Fidelis and Fidelis Amortem. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Caballero. At this time, I would like to invite Commissioner Donlin and Officer Caballero to present this year's awards. Receiving the Sergeant John Kugelin Eagle Globe and Anchor Award is former President of the NYPD Marine Corps Association, retired Detective Kevin Arias.
Thank you, sir.
Receiving the Sergeant Michael Curtin Semper Fidelis Award is Detective Khalib Rosher. The second Leatherneck Award is presented to Detective Martin Duffy. Receiving the Detective Lewis Miller Leadership Award is Commissioner of New York City Emergency Management, Zachary Iskol. 3 individuals are being presented the Patrolman Gregory Foster and Patrolman Rocco Laurie Uncommon Valor Awards. The first Uncommon Valor Award is presented to Police Officer Vladimir Estrella. The second Uncommon Valor Award is presented to Police Officer Gilberto Reyes Carmona. And the final Uncommon Valor Award is presented to Police Officer Juan Zambrana. The NYPD Marine Corps Association has a special recognition award. And receiving the final award, the NYPD Marine Corps Association Appreciation Award.
Sir, don't go anywhere yet. So, as you guys saw, Lou got an award because he's always supporting us. He's the one that makes all of our awards pretty much. They're handmade by Lou. And in good Lou fashion, we couldn't let you go without you having one of his famous Foot Lockers. So, here you go, sir. This is the Lou Foot Locker inside. You got. Thank you, Lou. Lou, I know you know how to set this up. See, right?
Got my name on it, so I don't forget my name.
And if you get washed, you know where it is. Thank you. That's what we do. All yours.
November 1st, 1921, John A. Lejeune, 13th Commandant of the Marine Corps, directed that a reminder of the honorable service of the Corps be published by every command to all Marines throughout the globe on the birthday of the Corps. Since that day, Marines have continued to distinguish themselves on many battlefields, in foreign shores, in war, and in peace. On this birthday of the Corps, therefore, in compliance with the will of the 13th Commonwealth, Article 38, United States Marine Corps Manual, edition 1921, is republished as follows. On 10 November 1775, a Corps of Marines was created by resolution of Continental Congress. Since that date, 3,000 men and women have borne the name Marine. In memory of them, it is fitting that we, who are Marines, should commemorate the birthday of our Corps by calling to mind the glories of its long and illustrious history. The record of our Corps is one which will bear comparison with that of the most famous military organizations in the world's history. During 90 of the 146 years of its existence, the Marine Corps has been in action against the nation's foes. In the battle of Trenton into Argonne, the Marines have won foremost honors in war, and in long years in tranquility at home, generation after generation of Marines have grown brave in war in both hemispheres and in every corner of the 7 seas, that our country and its citizens might enjoy peace and security. In every battle and skirmish since the birth of our Corps, Marines have acquitted themselves with the greatest distinction, winning new honors on each occasion until the term Marine has come to signify all that is highest in military efficiency and soldierly virtue. This high name of distinction and soldierly repute we, who are Marines today, have received from those who preceded us in the Corps. With it, we also received from them the eternal spirit which has animated our Corps from generation to generation and has been the distinguishing mark of the Marines in every age. So long as that spirit continues to flourish, Marines will become equal to every emergency in the future as they have been in the past. And the men of our nation will regard us as worthy successors to the long line of illustrious men and women who have served as soldiers of the sea since the founding of our Corps. John A. Lejeune, Major General, United States Marine Corps, 13th Commonwealth of the Marine Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. I would ask our guest of honor, Secretary Mattis, to join in the cake cutting ceremony. It is tradition that the oldest and the youngest Marine present are honored at this ceremony. The first piece of cake is presented to the guest of honor. second piece of cake is presented to the oldest Marine present, who represents the Corps' experience and long-standing traditions. The oldest Marine present is retired police officer Jerome Arrico. He was born on October 28, 1933. He served between 1953 to 1957. The third piece of cake is passed to the youngest Marine present, symbolizing the passing of knowledge, tradition, and responsibility from one generation to the next. The youngest Marine present today is NYPD recruit Noel Donaldson. He was born on July 28, 2003. On behalf of the members of our dais, thank you all for attending. Have a pleasant day and a safe trip home.